Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? I certainly hope you are having a great week this week. It has been interesting the last couple of days. So so much going on between podcasts, between clients, between Zoom calls and triggering myself triggering myself yesterday. My son turned 18 on Saturday, which is a really big deal. Obviously 18 is a big number, it's a stepping stone. And I wanted to write a post. I wanted to write a post talking about 18. And while I was writing the post, just all this stuff started coming up like crazy. And my welcome to 18 post turned into just this thing. And it was beautifully written. It caused me a lot of stress, a lot of anguish, a lot of anxiety. I was literally crying while writing this post. I was shaking while writing this post, and it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. I plastered it on 20 different Facebook groups, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of the things. It has over 3,000 likes, almost 1,000 comments so far, and still rolling. The reason I wanted to come on here is because there's been a couple questions. There's been about a dozen questions that have come through in and amongst all of the love, all of the support, all of the understanding, all of the individuals who are relating, who say, that's me, that's my story, who are saying, thank you so much for writing this. I needed this. So, for those of you who are here and who have not read my post yet, it is probably like the first post on top of, it's probably like my first post on top of my Facebook group, but it's also linked in this video. If you want to click, you can read the entire post, but I am actually going to read it for you here with my voice. So I'm going to apologize in advance if I create a little bit of emotion here. But I think that it's important. I think it's important for me to read it out loud. I think that it touched so many people, and it would be almost a disservice to never read it out loud in my own voice. So since we are here, we are in it. My son just turned 18 this weekend. Better now than never, right? We got to stop procrastinating, and we have to live in the moment of. So this is the post that is circling at the moment. So many comments on these posts that Facebook, which is one of the reasons why I'm on here, Facebook has cut me off. I am no longer allowed to comment on Facebook. I believe I'm like banned for about 24 hours starting last night. So if I haven't responded to you, it's not because I don't appreciate the response, but it's literally just because Facebook has banned me from commenting anymore. I guess the comments were coming in too fast on the post, and then I was responding too fast, and Facebook got upset. So I thought, what better way to come back together and say thank you than to come on video and just show my appreciation and my love and my support to all of you who are in your own struggle, who are in your own darkness. For those of you who came out on top like me and understand the story that I went through, whether it was similar or whether it just struck a chord with you. So this is the post. My son turned 18 this weekend. Yes, the big 1-8. I am delighted. However, I would be lying if I said that was all I felt. The surreal feelings of being alive are very real for me right now. If I was going to be completely open and honest, I would say we should both be dead. Now I'm going to note right here that lots of trigger warnings in here, and trigger warnings on pretty much everything. So just be leery of that. Whenever I dive into my story, I always seem to get a few people that focus on the fact that I kept my son and decided not to abort him, as if they know my story and peg me as being an example of motherhood. I want to make it clear up front that I am pro-choice. I have always been pro-choice. I believe that every mother has the right to choose, and my choice was to keep my baby. I'm not going to brag about that, though. It's nothing to brag about. Having a baby with no support is hard. It's not easy. It is a constant struggle every single day in all the areas of your life. Let me start with this. I loved being pregnant. The feeling of having my son pressing on the inside of my belly was one of the most surreal things ever. I would laugh with him, tickle his little feet, and caress him through my big fat belly. I loved knowing I had someone in my belly that loved me. I ended up pregnant at 20 with no husband, inside a religion that strictly prohibited that sin. I say sin because how awful is it to wrap such a miracle, a baby, up with such a degrading and nasty word? My son's father and I slept on a 9-inch blow up mattress up until my 8th month of pregnancy in a 2-bedroom apartment with 12 other people. My clothes were laid out on the floor. We had no dresser. I remember it was October in Chicago. I woke up every day at 5:30 a.m. to sell newspaper subscriptions. I did this for straight commission outside during morning rush hour from 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. and then again during evening rush hour 6 p.m. till 9 p.m., all whilst working a normal 8-hour job in between. I did this same cycle of 11-hour work days, or a little bit more with driving, 7 days a week until the day I gave birth. Working full days selling newspaper subscriptions on Saturdays and Sundays. Needless to say, winters in Chicago are brutal. I was tired. I was sad. I was a sinner. But this is what I deserved. After all, this is what sinners do. They struggle. They have to beg for forgiveness. They have to work really hard to prove that they are worthy of love, right? Or was this a belief system that was instilled in me? When my son was 3 months old, I received unsolicited advice from my church to marry my son's father or break up with him, because living under the same roof with a man that was not my husband was again a sin. Out of complete desperation of trying to make things right with God, I broke up with my son's father, and my life went from bad to worse in an instant. No family support, no church support, no financial support, zero. I was officially all by myself. I remember coming home to eviction notices on my apartment door every other month. I remember my car being repoed out of the parking lot. I remember eating beans and rice for dinner every single night so I could afford baby food for my son. I remember walking miles to the grocery store with my son in a $10 stroller from Goodwill because I could not spend money on gas. I couldn't afford gas. I couldn't afford food. I couldn't afford anything. Every day was a choice between gas, food, or rent. The mental stress was unbearable. The credit card debt I was incurring was unmanageable. Trying to be a mom, trying to keep my head above water, trying to build a new community to find love and connection anywhere I could. Being in a state of complete isolation and thus agony of wanting to be accepted by anyone. The constant state that I flowed in and out of had me wanting to drive my car off a bridge or drink myself into an oblivion of numbness, or maybe both at the same time. There are people in my world right now that did not think I was going to make it. People that thought I was going to fail and secretly wanted me to prove a point. People that sat around their kitchen table 18 years ago talking about how the mistakes I had made would end me, how I would get what was coming to me, how my love for God was pathetic and obvious. Whispers of being a slut, a whore, easy, a cunt circulated my environment as I floated in and out of spaces. The mockery of my motherly skills narrowed down to, he would be better off raised by wolves. I didn't know about postpartum at that time, but I can tell you right now that I had it. The thoughts of wanting to leave, wanting to run away, wanting to die, wanting to leave my baby or throw my baby out the window were real. Is that hard to hear? It's really hard to type. And what is so frustrating is our inability as women to be able to voice those feelings while they are happening for fear of being placed in a loony bin. But I was going crazy. Who wouldn't be? I was alone. I was scared. I had no idea what I was doing. Plus, I was broke, dead broke. I would find myself in the bathroom crying in complete despair, often having my legs give out from under me as my body convulsed in complete anguish, crying out in so much pain, secretly hoping that someone would hear me. But nobody ever came. No one came to save me until they did, or so I thought. A man, a man who, unbeknownst to me, would end up being my abuser for the next 13 years of my life, stealing my confidence and any hope I had for my sanity. He took advantage of my weaknesses and used them against me. He manipulated me with money. He mocked my religious beliefs by fueling the fire of how dirty and sinful I was. He minimized my wins and exaggerated my losses. He shamed my motherly abilities and highlighted my broken relationship with my friends and family. A whirlwind of hate comments, degrading, love bombing, gaslighting, manipulation, lying, coercing, belittling, and mimicking, stealing every ounce of drive I had, working me all day and nights like a real life slave, threatening my shelter, my vehicle, my character, and anything else he could use to break me into submission. I learned quickly, as I had been taught my entire life, to be two different people, one person to my abuser and one person to the public and my son. 8 years into this relationship, I started to change my views. I started to see a glimmer of light. I started to realize my power. I started to build a community around me of people who believed in me, people who were cheering me on, people who said, I could do it. I read books, I watched YouTube videos, and completely submerged myself into seminars, classes, and lectures that empowered me. Eventually, I freed myself. Eventually, broke out of that victim mindset. Eventually, spread my wings and rose. I now have an amazing 18-year-old son who is everything. He is strong, he is brilliant, and he is kind. He is a loving human who loves his mother and knows unconditional love. At one time, I was struggling just like you might be. I was crying out and no one was answering. I was breaking down in the darkness of my home behind closed doors, wanting it all to end. I get it. And I am about to be very honest with you because up to this point, maybe nobody has. No one is coming to save you. No one. It is time for you to show up for yourself. You need to be honest with the fact that you had something to do with the struggle that you are in. You had some doing in the situation you have found yourself in, and now you have to save yourself. You have to get up even if you don't want to. You have to smile even if you don't want to. You have to show up even if you don't want to. Start creating a community around you that believes in you. Reach out to organizations that support people with whatever struggles you are enduring. Seek medical advice if you need to. Make a decision today to show up for yourself when no one else did. You don't have to do it for the present you, but you have to do it for the future you. Lean in, darling. Lean in and hold on tight. So that's the post. So much emotion, so much heart, so much feeling went into that. It took me over 8 hours to write that over the course of 2 days to get it all done. Scratched out and rewritten and erased and rewritten and moved and scooted up and down to get that just right. So I so appreciate, again, the outpouring of love, of admiration, of support for my story and the things that I have been through. I so appreciate it. I run a podcast all based around storytelling. I know that some of you here listening now are part of that community. And it's all about storytelling because it is so important to allow people to realize the things that we have gone through in our life. Storytelling, telling your story is so powerful. There are people right now in your world that are struggling, that are enduring things secretly that you don't know about that could relate so closely to your own story. And you telling them just a little nugget of something that you've gotten over could give them the hope to be able to keep walking just one more day. I can't even tell you how many times the thought of taking my own life came across my head over the past 18 years. Probably hundreds of times. Probably hundreds of times of just feeling so unworthy, feeling so helpless, feeling as if there is no way I will ever get out of this situation. And it's not true. There's always a way. And a lot of it is just asking the right questions. Are you asking yourself the right questions? Are you continuously saying to yourself, there's no way? There's no way. See, this is what I was doing. I'm in a prison. There's no way out. He controls everything. They control everything. I will never have any money. I don't have any money. This whole storyline that I had told myself over and over and over again. And what happened is eventually I started to ask questions. See, I was in an atmosphere at one point where the man that I was living with would say things to me like, whoever has all the money has all the power. Whoever makes all the money makes all the rules. And that got embedded into my head over and over and over and over again, over years. And then one day, he said it just right. And I thought to myself in my head, wait a minute. Does that mean that if I have some money, I have some power? Does that mean that if I can make some money, I can make some rules? See, I started to ask myself questions. What would happen if I had money? What would happen if I had power? What would it look like if I could take back control of my life? So the answer is I can't. I can't. But what if I could? What if it was possible? What would it look like? What would that plan look like? What would I do? And I started to ask myself these questions. And over the course of a few years, I was able to start making money secretly. And I was able to climb my way out of that relationship and start all over again with the clothes on my back and on my son's back and my bicycle with everyone against us. So many things. I shouldn't say everyone. So many things against us. So many obstacles in my way trying to keep me locked down. But I created a way out. I created a plan. And that's what you have to do. You have to create a plan if you're in that sort of situation. So listen, I had, like I said, literally hundreds, thousands of messages over the course of these 20 groups that I put this post in on top of my website, on top of LinkedIn and Twitter. So I so appreciate all of the wonderful support and all of the wonderful comments. I do want to get back to some of you because I did run across about a dozen questions, actually way more than a dozen questions. A lot of them were repeated, obviously, in one way or another. and or some of them were just kind of inappropriate to talk about. But I did write some of them down. So I'm going to hang out for a little bit and talk about or answer some of these questions regarding the post that I wrote. So for those of you that are just jumping on now, I see you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out and supporting me wherever you are. If you could just drop a comment in the comment, let me know where you are and where you are from. I would so appreciate that. But I am talking about the post that I wrote yesterday. I am no longer allowed to respond to any comments. Facebook has me in Facebook jail at the moment. The comments were flowing in way too fast, and my comments were responding way too fast. And I guess Facebook decided that they didn't like that very much. So like anything in life, right? I see a problem, I come up with a solution. So I am here. I am here because Facebook said that I couldn't respond. So I'm on video responding. I'm on video responding. So listen, one of the questions that I got from the post that I wrote is, what happened to the baby daddy? So, my son's father and I have been through a whirlwind of really good times and really, really bad times. For those of you that follow my storyline, you know that there has been some very tumultuous things that have happened in and amongst that relationship. But I forgave him. I forgave him every single time. When he started coming back around after paying zero child support, even while he was still not paying child support, he started coming back around, and I opened up, the relationship with my son and allowed him to see my son whenever he wanted, even for a very short amount of time. We were splitting time where I was driving an hour to drop him off at school, and he was driving him an hour to drop him off at school, just trying to make the relationship work in any way possible. And, it disrupted my son. My son was very upset about it, didn't appreciate it. So I kind of had to take the brunt of that and have a tough conversation, or not, with him, which he didn't appreciate very much. Wound up going and fighting for full custody. It became a whole legal battle, and cost me $18,000 to regain full custody of my son and allow him to have weekends. But through all of that, I do not speak ill of him. I do know 100% from the beginning that my son is 50% of his dad. And I love my son so much. And I never, ever wanted him to feel as if any part of him it was possible for him to have any of those ugly traits from his dad. So one of the ways of doing that is just not to tell him about those ugly traits from his dad. So, whether or not my son, as young as he is, ever comes and decides to sit down and watch one of my videos in full, he's never really heard the story of all of this that has gone on in full. Has he heard bits and pieces? Sure, 100%, just in passing. Has he asked questions? Sure, 100%, just in passing, but nothing that would damage the relationship. So, the father feels differently. He feels as if there has been stuff that has been said, but anyone could ask my son full on, and I always tell him to thank his dad, to love his dad, to call his dad, to hang out with his dad, the importance of being with his dad and having a dad in his life, no matter how much he fought it, no matter how much he didn't want to. I always encouraged a relationship with him, and always told him all of the great things that his dad is. His dad is very handsome. His dad is very smart. He's very good at math. He's very charismatic. So all of those traits that Elijah has, I always emphasize. with his father. When he's smart, I say, you're smart just like your father. You're organized just like your father. You're very handsome just like your father. So, one of the things even that my fiance uh, appreciates about me is the fact that I do my best to make sure that my son sees the good traits from his father inside of him. And that was actually one of the first compliments that my fiance gave me was, I love the relationship that you are fostering between your son and his dad. I wish it was the same on our side. Um, so because he has an ex also. But anyways, it doesn't really matter what your ex has done. That's between you and your ex. So it's very important to make sure that you keep your children separate from that until they get old enough. Obviously now that he's getting older, if questions pop up or come up, I'm obviously going to be a lot more honest now than I was when he was, 15, 16, 17 years old. And as he gets older and things pop up and he starts to realize, certain things and how much things cost, I believe that there will be a lot more appreciation for the story and the stuff that I went through to get to where I am now. Next question. Where were you living when you were living in Chicago? Okay. So a few places. I was born and raised in West Chicago, and from there moved to I lived in Schaumburg for a little while. And the place in the post was Elmhurst. Ooh, I don't know. I think it was, it was Glen Ellen, I think. Glen Ellen. And there's another question in here too somewhere about the people that I was living with. Hang on. Why were you living with 12 people? Were you a drug addict? So listen, I was living in Glen Ellen at the time. So what happened is I found out I was pregnant when I was 20. I was living with my parents. I had just moved back in. So I had moved out when I was 18. My parents sat down with me and they were like, hey, listen, we're moving. So either you stay here in Chicago or you come with us, which means you have to close down your apartment and move back in with us. So I decided, whatever, I'll move. I'll move with you. I'll stay with you guys for a little while, find a job, and move back out again in North Carolina. So so my parents, we left, we moved to North Carolina. So I was pregnant. I actually found out that I was pregnant 2 days, I think 2 or 3 days before we were leaving. So we were literally packed, everything. I still remember it to this day. Everything in my room was totally jam packed in my room. I went to work. I fell asleep on the job for the second day in a row. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what if I'm pregnant? I went to Walmart. I stole a pregnancy test, a 3-back pregnancy test. Don't judge me, and please don't do this. Put it in my purse, went to the bathroom, peed on a stick, and told myself that I didn't know how to do it right because literally the plus signs popped up immediately. Plus, plus, plus. And in the directions, it says may take up to 3 minutes. And they literally popped up the plus signs immediately within seconds. So I was like, these have to be broken. All 3 of these are broken. There's no freaking way I'm pregnant. But obviously, after sitting on it, mulling on it, I have a whole post about this too, of the walls closing in on me. And I literally feel like I'm suffocating with this information. The next day, we went to Planned Parenthood. We saw some movies on abortion. We saw some movies on childbirth and decided to keep the baby. And then the next day went to North Carolina. I moved away with my parents. And, my parents aren't stupid. My mom's not stupid. I was barfing. I was gaining weight. When I left, I was like a size 2. I was probably the thinnest I had ever been. All of a sudden, I'm gaining weight. I'm puking constantly. I'm on the phone till like 3 in the morning. Just ridiculousness is happening. So they finally just approached me one day and they were like, "What's going on?" This whole thing happened because of the religion. And I had to make a decision to, on what I was going to do. So called baby daddy. He came and got me, and we were dead broke. We were super poor. So he was living with 12 people in an apartment, barely making it, doing this multi-level marketing job. It was crazy. So I moved in with him. We had a blow up mattress on the floor, no dresser, and we made it work somehow. I don't even know. Saved all of our money as best we could. He surprised me somewhat, I think, if I remember clearly, with a place. We didn't even go shopping for a place. Like just one day, he was like, "I found a place." We were there for maybe 3 weeks by the time I gave birth. So in our new place, we literally just had a bed. That was it. He bought a Serta bed, brand new from like Sam's Club or something. And I can't even tell you how excited I was to be finally just sleeping in a bed. But we had nothing in our apartment, zero. There was nothing, just a bed and our clothes, obviously. So, yeah, the 12 people we lived with were just people that he worked with at that multi-level. So multi-levels aren't always what you think they are. These, rap MLMs or Arbonne or, what Herbalife or whatever these are. There are people that take their multi-level marketing very seriously in this world. And they actually have like crews of people that bunk together and all they do is sell all day, every day, sell, in an office and try to recruit people. That's all they do. And that's what was going on here. It was crazy. So we were not drug addicts. If anything, it was actually the exact opposite. Everyone was super clean, super fit, super healthy, and super money motivated and just motivated to like make money, motivated to make money. They slept and worked. That's it. No one hung out at the house. There was no TV. I don't even think we really even had pots and pans. People just came to sleep and shower, and that's it. The rest of the time they were out working, making money, 2 or 3 jobs, just trying to hit a million, just trying to hit a million. Those multi-levels, that's all they talk about is hitting the levels. So it was very intense, not fun being pregnant, but did what we had to do. What is the relationship like with your parents? Relationship is fine. Probably, I don't even know. I think my son was maybe 2.5, maybe 3. I don't know. When I got reinstated with my religion and everything kind of went back to normal. And at that point, got my relationship back with my parents. They met my son. And we probably see, we go through spurts. Sometimes we're very, very connected and we talk all the time, and just like life, like anybody's family. And then other times we don't really talk at all. COVID really hit us pretty hard. We were supposed to have a family reunion June 2020. That got canceled, obviously, and haven't really seen them once for like a day since then. But yeah, things could be different. The religion does have a hand in that, in, our relationship, but that's not for me to judge or for me to get upset or frustrated about. Everybody has their own right to be able to live their life and follow the rules that they want to follow. What's up, Tori? How you doing, girl? Thank you so much. So, It is what it is. Let's see if I can find, oh my gosh, did I just lose the questions? I think I have it on my phone. Let's see. What kind of job did you get after leaving your abusive relationship? Such an odd question. What kind of job did you get after leaving your abusive relationship? So listen, I never went back to work. I actually stayed working for my abusive ex for another year and a half, or probably actually 2 years after we split. I stayed away from that relationship for about a month or two. He just kept calling, kept calling, kept calling, kept calling, told me he couldn't do it without me, told me that the whole business was failing, told me that he was losing money and he needed me back and he didn't know how to do anything because I literally ran the entire company by myself. He was blowing up my phone. And finally, I don't even know, maybe 2 months in, I finally just on a whim answered. I pitched him this ridiculous amount of money that I wanted weekly. I told him I wanted a car. I told him I wanted my insurance paid, my car insurance paid, and my gas paid. And he agreed to everything, just agreed. He's like, if you can come in tomorrow, 100% everything. He wanted giving me the shittiest car on the lot. He gave me a 2008 Toyota Sienna, like smelled like armpits and had no air conditioning. And but he freaking did it all. He gave me all that for free. I stayed working for him for 2 more years. It was horrible. It was an absolute nightmare. He micromanaged the crap out of me. So the entire time I was working for him, I kind of was able to run my own deals. I was able to kind of, you know, run the offices how I wanted to run at the office. However, after this whole thing happened, he decided to like show up every single day, come into work every single day, micromanage the crap out of me, would tear me down in front of the sales reps. He would mock me, he would interrogate me, and then other times he'd be super nice to me and he'd ask me to go to lunch with him, ask me to go to dinner with him, ask me to come over to his house, ask me to watch his dog, our dog or his dog at the time. So the same roller coaster that narcissists put you on, where they, just this whole like, you're great, you're not great, you're great, you're not great, you're great, you're not great. But in the work environment, so the only difference was I wasn't going back to his house. He would still call me all night, 9 at night, 2 in the morning, just absolutely ridiculous. He'd stop by the house. So finally, 2 years in, 2 years, quit and never worked for anybody ever again. I started my own business about a year before I left him or more. And it's just slowly grown. At first, I was very scared, financially nervous. So I was renting out rooms on Airbnb at my house. I was running around. I tell this story all the time. I was running around my community, picking up garbage at night and reselling it on OfferUp and eBay, just making sure that I had enough cushion because I didn't want to ever go back to him. I was so scared that at one point I was going to end up falling back into that relationship because that's what he always told me. He always told me that he'd always say, you could leave, you can leave, you can leave, but within 2 months, I'm gonna find you in the back of a dumpster or behind a dumpster in a cardboard box. That's what he always used to say to me. He's like, I'd find you in the back of a dumpster living out of a cardboard box. And I believed him. I believed that there's no way on earth that I could do it on my own. But what's so funny about it is I was already doing it on my own. He literally had me doing everything, but he had me so convinced that I was doing it wrong all the time. But I wasn't doing it wrong because when I freaking left, he had so much. When I met him, he had, he was living in a townhouse. When I left him, he had multiple homes paid off in full, multiple cars, no debt. Like he was freaking rolling deep when I left him. So I was capable. I was capable. He just had me so convinced that there's no way that I could do it without him like monitoring me. And, during those last couple years I was with him, I started to realize like, wow, I did this. Like I opened up businesses. I talked to directors. I did my own negotiating. I'm working with the taxes and figuring out, ways to bring the expenses down and bring the profits up and all of that stuff. And so I just used all of those skills that I had gained during that time, took them all, realized I rocked at it, and implemented all of those things in my businesses. And I never had to go back to a job again. I never had to. Between the cushion that I had gotten from the Airbnb and flipping garbage, literally, I'd go out 4 days a week, and from 10 o'clock at night till 2 in the morning. And I'd place things on OfferUp. I was paying all my bills just by flipping. So that was like everything. So everything that I was making at my job was just surplus. It was just going into a savings account, basically. And when I finally bought my own vehicle, because when I left him, obviously I had to leave the vehicle again. I bought my new vehicle cash. So there was no interest on that. So a lot of it's just making a game plan. It's making a game plan. One of the things that I regret the most about being so naive is when my religion came to me and said to break up with my son's father. Now I knew I wasn't in love with my son's father. My son's father was not in love with me. He wrote little letters and stuff, but I've got tons of journals. For those of you that follow me on Mondays, I do journal readings a lot on Mondays, and that whole storyline will eventually come up as far as, the situation with him. He was not in love with me at all. We had split mentally so long before that. I think that he was just trying to possibly just keep the family together. But I wish, if I would have had the same mind that I have now, then I would have just sat down with him and said, hey, listen, my religion's being freaking finicky. So just stop going to church with me. Because that was the whole thing. We were living together and then we were showing up as a family to church. And it was like confusing people. So if I was smart, like I am now, smarter, I would have said, hey, listen, you hate going to church. He hated it. He hated it so much. He was like not interested. I was trying to convert him. I could have just been like, hey, you just freaking sit here, keep the baby. I'll go to church and we can just keep paying rent together. You pay half, I pay half, and we'll just like live together until we figure this out. But I was so in tune with like listening to what other people are telling me to do and never questioning anything, because I never questioned anything growing up. I wasn't allowed to question anything. The rules are the rules are the rules, and those are the rules. And you can't question the rules, but you actually can. You actually can question the rules. You actually can create your own chapters as to how you want them to go. But see, I was just so used to, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, okay, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, without ever using my head and saying, that doesn't even freaking make any sense. If I break up with him and I leave him, who is going to help me pay my bills? They didn't help me. So they're like, yeah, you need to make a decision. Leave him. I follow suit, and then nobody was there to freaking hand me over some money. That was stupid. That was stupid of me. That was dumb. See, we have to be smarter when we're in situations. We have to negotiate. We have to barter. Even if you would have used God as a like, you can't do that because of God. Do you really think God wanted me to struggle that bad? Do you really think God wanted me to have suicidal thoughts all the time because I literally could not pay my bills for my son? Like, I chose to have a child. I chose not to abort my child. I cannot tell you how many individuals I know personally that have aborted their children, not because they just want to abort their children, but because of the wrath of the religion that they're in. They don't want to deal with their mom or their dad or the congregation or anybody disassociating them from the community that they're used to. So they freaking just get rid of the baby. Get rid of the baby, which is fine. But this is the thing. I didn't get rid of the baby. So do you really think God is trying to punish me in that instance when I actually went through the whole turmoil of telling my parents, telling the elders, telling the congregation, being disassociated, all for the birth of my child, because I know supposedly within the religion that God didn't want me to abort him. So I'm doing all of the things that we're supposed to be doing correctly, and then just at the end he's like, yeah, screw her. She has no money. Money. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. That was stupid of me. That was stupid of me to listen to people who are in no way trying to help me financially. See, we have to help ourselves. We have to think a couple steps ahead and create a plan for ourselves, so that we don't get stuck in situations like this. This was me being naive, and this was me being very stupid in this situation. If I would have negotiated some sort of deal with my son's father, even though we were broken up, he totally would have done that. You know how many roommates I've had in my adult years? Lots of roommates. People understand that. We live in an economic world, my friends. Money. You have to have money. If you have no money and somebody's telling you to do this something opposite than what makes sense economically, then you need to say, whoa, 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 whoa. If I do that, who's taking care of this part? See, I wasn't smart enough to realize that. I thought that just magically things would just work out because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That's not how it works, though. So we have to learn to question things. We have to learn to question what other people are telling us. Does it make sense? Does it make logical sense for you and your journey? Because if not, girl, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself. You need to start asking questions. Hey, you going to take care of me? If I kick my son's father out of my house, are you going to take care of me? That's the question. Why did the questions run away? The questions disappeared for real. So weird. And I don't remember any of the other ones. So there's one about my son, or the father, where we lived, my parents, what I did after my abusive relationship. I feel like there was a couple more after that, and for some reason they just up and left. I must have accidentally. Ooh, I wonder if I can. I threw it in the trash on accident. Okay, what happened to the narc? Oh. Okay, what is your relationship with your parents? Does your son recognize your struggles? We already kind of went over that. I know you are sober. What kept you from drinking? Did you fall back into it? Oh my gosh. I can't even tell. So I stopped drinking because my abuser was using alcohol to sexually assault me, basically, to get me so numb, my body so numb, that I didn't even know what the frick was going on. And I would wake up with bruises. I would wake up bleeding. It was this whole thing. It was awful. So, I would wake up crying. I'd be like, oh my gosh, you don't love me. And he would always blame it on the alcohol. He'd be like, you were drinking, you were drunk, you don't even remember, you're exaggerating it, you liked it. So after a year or two of that, I was like, this is not working for me. I need to start making some changes here. So I just stopped drinking and just never went back to it. Did I want to go back? Did I go back to it? First question. Did you fall back into it? No. I did not. I thought about it a lot because it doesn't really matter. But no, I didn't. I wanted to start drinking / doing drugs. And I can be totally, and some of you might be able to relate to this. The movies and the shows put on such a storyline of this is what you do when you're really sad. And I was really sad all the time. So for me, I wanted to start drinking or to do drugs because I've never ever done drugs. I've never even smoked, inhaled a cigarette. I've never done anything. All I've ever done is drink alcohol. But I used to think about it. Oh, I want, like, what would weed feel like right now? Like, I just need something. Or what would it feel like to like get rid of all of this? And yeah, I used to glorify, which is what people do. This is why people fall into it. Drugs from what you see in the movies in order to prove how miserable I was. So I didn't want to do drugs because, like, I want to do drugs. I wanted to do drugs for the story of I was so miserable that I had to do drugs. I was so miserable that I had to drink. My life was so bad that I fell back into drinking. Like, to me, that storyline was powerful, where people would be like, wow, I get it. That is bad. That was my thought process on drinking, is to be able to explain just how tumultuous, whatever that word is, my life was, how much turmoil I was in. And people would be like, oh, wow, that was bad. I get it. But my ego kind of got in the way. I appreciated the fact that I had gone so long without drinking. And I just didn't want to break that record. I liked to be able to say that I hadn't drank. I liked the way that I felt. I love the way being sober feels. Being sober just feels good. I feel strong. I feel healthy mentally, emotionally. I have control over my emotions and all of the things. And so I never went back to it. But yes, I did want to. And no, I did not. What happened to the narc? Oh, I'm avoiding this question. So he moved on. When I left working for him, 6 months before I left, I gave him a notice. I said, hey, I'm leaving in 6 months. It's a whole long story short. He invited his girlfriend to work to take my place. It's crazy. So I'm literally training my replacement. I'm training his next victim. It just absolutely insane. I still hold a little low-key guilt. However, I did try to warn her a little bit, but she just went right back to him and like vomited all the shit that I said to him. He had a freaking cow, obviously. And then I had to quit because it just got horrible. It got so bad. Because I guess she didn't trust me. I guess she was questioning whether or not I was being truthful or not. I don't know. Doesn't really matter, but she's still with him. and still running the business. I still have emails that come to me with lots of stuff that, I don't just, when I pop into that email just to go through my spam or whatever, I'll see. But they're still rolling. They've condensed everything. They've sold everything. And I guess it went into like this instead of like, wow, they went like, ooh, tight and small and little. Maybe they were scared. I don't know. Maybe they suck at running businesses together. I know I'm awesome at running business together. I know that I was the best thing that ever happened to him, along with the worst thing that ever happened to him, because me leaving what was the dumbest thing. And everybody said that. Literally every single person that I talked to after I left was like, him letting you leave was the dumbest thing he has ever done in his life. But we didn't work well together. So the potential that I have to make money with him just wasn't there. The potential that I have to make money on my own is obviously here. So speaking of, you hear that? I'm trying to get rid of a few things in my garage right now. So yeah, so that's what happened to him. Why were you living with? I already answered that. Do you feel like you missed out on your 20s? Oh, okay. We have two more questions. Do you feel like you missed out on your 20s? Yes and no. Yes and no. I actually had fun. So a few of my friends loved my baby. I started to build a new community. As I said in the post, I started to build a new community before my ex, before my abusive partner, and I was trying to like find my place. I was trying to find people that loved me. I was trying to find people that appreciated being with me. And I did. I had fun. We did hang out. Um I don't know what else I could have possibly have done. We did I went dancing, we drank. I guess could I have done that same exact scenario for longer? Yes. But knowing what I know it's empty. It's like doesn't really mean anything. It's a total waste of money. So yes and no, yes and no. But at that point I had a baby. So I always had to find a sitter, or I had to bring him with, or one of my friends watched him, or whatever it was. But it was very few, very in between, because of finances a lot of times. And I also had people that would come over to the house and hang out with the baby. So I'm going to say yes and no to that question. The last question, if you had to do it all over, would you still go through it all? If I had to do it all over, am I doing it twice in a row? That just sounds so exhausting. Just reading that makes me feel exhausted. Would I do it all over again? I mean, knowing what I know now, yeah. Yeah. I would certainly hope that if I did it all over again, I would do it all over again exactly how I did it. Because if I would have at any point stopped or stepped out, I wouldn't have found my calling. So I had to, sorry, my phone is like blowing up so bad today. Should have just turned it off a long time ago. So if I had to do it all over again and it went exactly to the like second of how it worked out, yes. But if I cut out early at any point, if anything changed, if I wanted to like getting pregnant with another baby, no. But if it went exactly, well, yes, I would have. Yes, I would do it all over again. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I have the exact strength and power that I'm supposed to have. The community that I am building because of my story is absolutely fabulous. The women that I am empowering through my own story and through bringing other women on and telling their story is just expanding beyond belief. And where I'm at a point now where my coaching is falling in sync, the community is falling in sync, and it wouldn't look the way it looks if my life hadn't gone exactly the way it has. So yeah, I would do it all over again 100%, just as long as I didn't know that I was doing it all over again. Um, because that would be exhausting. It was my journey that I went on was exhausting. I don't even, that's why that post brought up so much emotion. I was crying so bad while reading that. I was shaking so bad while I was posting it. It was it was very difficult. It was a very difficult journey, and I get very choked up realizing how many times I wanted to end it. Literally, like, really just didn't want to keep going. Just so tired. I remember I used to go into these crazy breakdowns and just say to myself, I am so tired. Like, I am just so tired. I'm so exhausted. And I just wanted it to end. And sometimes I don't even know. I think it's just luck of the draw. I don't even know how I got here. I don't know why I decided to live. I mean, I know that that sounds stupid, but there was so much bad things. There was just so many horrific nights that I don't even get it. And I guess it doesn't really matter because we're here now, right? I don't even get it because we're here now. But anyways, I wanted to come on because of Facebook. They banned me from commenting, so I felt really bad about not being able to get back to a lot of you guys. And so many of you have said such nice, wonderful things, and I can't comment back. So I wanted to answer some questions, and I wanted to let you guys know that I so appreciate you. I so love you. Thank you so much for the support. Also wanted to let you know that I have an amazing program for those of you that are suffering in a relationship where you are feeling stuck financially. I have an entire blueprint, The link will be in the description below. Actually, let me get it for you here. Let me see if I can put it up on stage here. What is it? Freedom. It is an entire blueprint of, let me put it here. It is an entire blueprint of where, of exactly what I did. Here it is. Of exactly what I did to leave my relationship. The exact step by step of what I did. It took me 4 years, but the only reason it took me 4 years because all this stuff happened in between. But this is 365 days. You invest in yourself with this program. Within 365 days, if you do all of the things, you will be ready. Not that you have to, but you will be at a powerful financial state in your life where you feel comfortable being able to make decisions on your own. So put this in the link or press some of the comments. I put it in and sit in some of the comments there. But check it out. Absolutely powerful. And my story and how I was able to do it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I so appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.